The Scranton Cultural Center got a huge boost last night. Entertainers Frankie Valli and Roberta Flack took to the stage as part of a multi-million-dollar fundraising effort. Anchorman Keith Martin helped host the gala with all monies raised going toward restoring the old building and making it a showpiece for the arts.
This building needs a lot, and we need to take care of it because it's a wonderful place to have our cultural center. And we thank you for being a part of this. We thank you for working on the campaign, and we thank you for giving to the campaign.
The community phase of the fund drive has raised $500,000 so far and will continue through April 22nd. Coming up next, Mark Hiller says we'll be...
Now, live from your hometown station, WBRE TV, this is Eyewitness News at 6.
Dozens of Williamsport City Hall employees escaped injury this afternoon when a seal northeastern Pennsylvania.
That's for sure.
All right, thanks very much, Sid. Well, finally tonight, it's becoming an annual rite of spring. I'm, of course, talking about the annual Builders Home Show. The annual show is just underway at the Isorama in Wilkes-Barre, and if you're looking to remodel or upgrade your home, buy a new one, or just putter around, this is the place to be this weekend. The show runs until 9 tonight, from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. on Saturday, and from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Sunday. Admission is $2 for adults. Children are free if they're accompanied by an adult. Don't know of too many children who are thinking about remodeling at this point. That's Eyewitness News. We thank you for watching. NBC Nightly News is next. We're back with Nightcast at 11. Until then, have a good night.
Live from your hometown station, WBRE TV, this is Eyewitness News Nightcast.
A real estate ad might call this a fixer-upper or handyman's delight. Good evening, but first the story of a real handyman's delight, a place where you can find tools, materials, services, and answers all in one place. Kathy Bozinski reports that place was jammed tonight.
Carrie Rott and her husband Bill came to the 1993 Home Builders Show on a mission to gather all the information possible on building the home that is just right for them.
We rent right now, and we're looking to build probably in about 2 years. So we want to buy a piece of land and then build our own home, because then we can have exactly what we want.
And 1993 is prime time to build a new home. Franklin First Federal's mortgage department was giving away free dollar bills to prospective customers, but that's nothing compared to interest rate deals being given by all lending institutions.
Right now you're looking at low rates. We're at the point you're looking at low principal and interest payments per month. This is a fantastic time to even think about mortgaging, even refinancing at this point in time.
But while the door is open for just about anyone to build a home at this time, the climate is not that good for the home builders themselves. Yeagley Construction builds homes in a number of new developments in the mountaintop area. While they are expected to meet a projected quota of at least 100 new homes in '93, skyrocketing lumber prices are making them feel the pinch.
Since January, I would say they've gone up about 60%. Now, we have not raised our prices anywhere near what they went up, but we have had to come up a little bit, but at the same time, we're giving you the same quality.
Home builders all say they must keep a lid on costs to remain competitive. Combine that with all-time low mortgage rates, and you may have the incentive you need to go for that dream home. Kathy Bozinski, Eyewitness News, Wilkes-Barre.
Williamsport City Hall will be the site of
race. Now a little something for all you Elvis fans out there and for all you bowlers. We try to keep everybody happy here. It's the Bowling Elvises from Denver. It's the Elvis Presley bowling team. The whole thing started when this group tried to raise some money for a trip to Memphis in order to visit Graceland. And as you might expect, folks turned out to see the Bowling Elvises, and so the guys kept on dressing up and showing up and knocking them over at the Celebrity Sports Center in Denver. I don't know if Elvis lives, but we now know that Elvis bowls. More than one Elvis, maybe referred to as Elvi.
Elvi.
This time last night, you were probably standing in the buffet line at the Masonic Temple in Scranton for the Cultural Center.
As a matter of fact, I was, and we had a great night, a great crowd.
Yeah.
Roberta Flack, Frankie Valli, great time. Great reception afterwards, and a great honor for my family. A lot of people were asking my father, who painted the portrait, presented a portrait to the Cultural Center of my late mother, Jean Madden Martin, and the portrait will hang there with her smiling face looking down, and that made our family very happy, and we think a lot of people in Scranton very happy. So
next time I'm in the Masonic Temple, I will make a point to go and see
Well, we're very proud, and thank you for your phone calls. A lot of people were asking and wanted to let you know that it did happen.
Okay.
Well, thank you. All right, we move on. Now, if you are recapping tonight's top stories, the annual Home Builders Show is off to a crowded start for its weekend run at the Cole Street Ice-A-Rama in Wilkes-Barre. The show continues Saturday and Sunday. Robert Schaefer of Hunlock Creek is in custody. Night Show with Jay Leno is next. From all of us, we hope you have a great weekend. Tune in tomorrow for Brian Francis, Sid Michaels, and all the news of the weekend. Good night.
Hi friends, I'm Mark from Fracolosi Chevrolet.
A Lackawanna County woman is fighting for her life this evening following a violent one-car crash on Interstate 81. It happened as 41-year-old Linda Frecky of Dixon City was traveling north through Scranton late last night. State police say Frecky lost control of her car, struck a guardrail, and slammed into a divider. Frecky was partially knocked through the driver's side window. She's hospitalized in the intensive care unit at CMC Hospital in Scranton in critical condition. Well, the spotlight is on Scranton this evening. A gala celebration is being held at the Scranton Cultural Center, featuring entertainers Frankie Valli and Roberta Flack. Our own anchorman Keith Martin is hosting the festivities. He is live at the Cultural Center to tell us what all the excitement is about. Keith?
Well, Dawn, the excitement is about refurbishing this grand building in downtown Scranton. It's more than 60 years old, has a long and rich history in northeastern Pennsylvania of providing entertainment and the best shows, Broadway theater, community concerts, and of course the Northeastern Pennsylvania Philharmonic. And what we're doing tonight is celebrating the hard work of the people who are raising the money and also the spirit of the community, which believes enough in itself to raise $16.5 million for this grand building. You're seeing the outside as it is right now. It needs work. The facade is chipped. Inside you'll find that there's chipped paint, threadbare seats, and in many cases wallpaper that's hanging from the walls. It's a sad sight for those people who believe in this building and who are in the process right now of raising money. The campaign, a three-phase campaign, $4 million first of all from corporations, that's in hand, and now there is a major commitment from the state.
Yes, and our commitment of $8 million stands, Keith. You can take that to the bank. That's on the table, so.
Governor Bob Casey. I interviewed the governor via satellite last night and asked him that question, and you saw by the smile on his face, the governor and the state standing by their commitment of $8 million in funding for the Scranton Cultural Center at the Masonic Temple. Which brings us to where we are tonight. If you've been doing your arithmetic, you see we come up about $4.5 million short, and that's what tonight's celebration is all about. It's a fundraiser, first of all, and a thank you. And I'm standing outside the grand ballroom, where there will be several hundred people to participate in a grand reception after the Frankie Valli and Roberta Flack concerts tonight. Well more than 1,000 people will be here. It will be a great night, and in just a bit I'll be back to talk with James Webb, the chairman of the campaign, the community phase of the campaign, to ask us, the public, to help make this grand building what it once was. I'll be back later in the newscast. Right now, we'll take a break.
Tonight's huge gala celebration at the Scranton Cultural Center is in celebration of a fund drive to renovate the old Masonic Temple and turn it into a showpiece for the arts. Keith Martin is standing by live now with a man who spearheaded that fundraising effort. Keith?
Dawn, before we talk about dollars, we have to talk about people, because people are what are making this campaign happen. James Webb is with me, the director and the, I guess I have to say, grand poobah of the community phase of this campaign. We are here to celebrate the work that's been done, and you have a major announcement tonight.
Well, we do have a major announcement. We're very pleased to say that we have raised now $500,000 from the community in this phase 2 of the campaign. And the campaign is going very well, and as a matter of fact, campaign is going so well, and so many people are wanting to get involved that we are going to extend the campaign until April 22nd so that everybody has an opportunity to give to the Scranton Cultural Center.
We're talking about an army of 200 people or more out there actually because they want to be.
Keith, I think, to be honest with you, it's closer to 300 now, because since the last time you and I have talked, some other people have come forth and said, what can we do to help? So this is great to see the community turn out for something like this to help turn the Scranton Cultural Center into the what I'd call the cultural centerpiece of northeastern Pennsylvania.
And the theme of this phase of the campaign, of course, was a commitment from you, treasures for your children.
Right, and that's very important, not only treasures for our children, but for future generations, and certainly this will be a great boost to the northeastern Pennsylvania area to have a cultural base such as the Scranton Cultural Center.
Thank you.
I was going to say, I think 5 years from now, every performer will say, have you been to the Scranton Cultural Center and performed yet? It is magnificent. So.
Well, that's what we want to have happen. James Webb, thank you so much. We'll be talking to you later tonight. And right now, we're going to take a break and then come back with the Sween. He's got to talk about nuts and bolts, the weather.
Real, folks. Now, let's show you some real weather. We'll show you a real live weather window from the Masonic Temple in Scranton, the Cultural Center at the Masonic Temple. Of course, Keith is there. We'll be hearing more from him before too long. Big evening up there planned. If you're there going, I'm sure you're going to have a wonderful time. Scranton, mostly cloudy and 43 degrees. Down the road at the airport, the temperature is 42.
All right. Thanks, Vince. In our hometown pride with the Scranton Cultural Center in the spotlight tonight, we turn to Keith Martin, who is live with tonight's story. Keith?
Dawn, we were talking about people before. We'll keep talking about people who make things happen here at the Scranton Cultural Center. And one of those people is our spotlight. So we're very proud on behalf of Penn Millers and WBRE to recognize our hometown pride person.
Julian, do you have this work ready for me? Yes, I do. When employees at the Scranton Cultural Center call Madeline Hybe for help, I'm Diana Penna.
Thank you, Diana. This is a night of grand benefit celebration at the Scranton Cultural Center at the Masonic Temple. Frankie Valli and Roberta Flack in concert. We expect more than 1,000 people to be here. I'll be on stage black tie, proving that the tuxedo still does fit. And yes, tickets are still available. If you'd like to come to the door, we'd be thrilled to see you tonight. Right now, let's take time out and come back with a guy who takes time out a lot. That's Sid Michaels.
Hometown Pride is brought to you by Penn Miller.
Live from your hometown station, WBRE TV, this is Eyewitness News Nightcast.
Entertainers Frankie Valli and Roberta Flack bring the Scranton Cultural Center alive tonight as hundreds turn out to support the arts. Good evening, everyone. I'm Dawn Timoney in for Keith Martin. The Cultural Center is in the limelight this evening. A gala celebration is being held as part of a huge fundraising effort to renovate the Cultural Center to its previous grandeur and make it a centerpiece for the performing arts. Reporter Kathy Bozinski is live in Scranton with more on all the festivities. Kathy?
Well, Don, as you can see, the center is still alive at this hour. We are in the midst of the post-concert gala celebration here at the Masonic Temple, and tonight truly was a night of stars in downtown Scranton. It featured performers like, as you said, Roberta Flack, Frankie Valli, and the Four Seasons, but the true stars of the show were the hundreds of volunteers who solicited contributions to help refurbish the shining architectural star of downtown Scranton, the Cultural Center at the Masonic Temple. The song was Killing Me Softly, but it was a song of rebirth for the Scranton Cultural Center at the Masonic Temple. Singer-composer Roberta Flack was the first to bring music to the center's theater, which will be lovingly restored and upgraded with the financial help that continues to pour in from all facets of the region.
This building needs a lot, and we need to take care of it because it's a wonderful place to have our cultural center. And we thank you for being a part of this. We thank you for working on the campaign, and we thank you for giving to the campaign.
The The music of Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons was next to fill the center, and the second half of tonight's Twin Bill Benefit, which closes Phase 2, the community phase of the fund drive. It has netted $500,000 so far, but it must go even farther.
We need to raise another $1 million. So when in the next 4 weeks, one of the Scranton Cultural Center volunteers gives you a call, please give generously to the Scranton Cultural Center.
The Phase 2 appeal will now be extended until April 22nd. And adding to tonight's big celebration, news from Governor Bob Casey that $8 million to help the refurbishing move is definitely on its way from the state of Pennsylvania. So some good news tonight. And as you can tell, the drive to establish the Cultural Center in Scranton at the Masonic Temple is well underway, as is the gala post-concert reception. This is Kathy Bozinski with the Live Eye at the Masonic Temple in downtown Scranton. Dawn?
Kathy, what kind of crowd are we talking about, and how was tonight's concert received?
Well, first of all, it was an absolutely spellbinding performance. Two artists of varying style, beautiful performance by Roberta Flack, kind of blues and jazz oriented, and then of course Frankie Valli with the old favorites. It was not a packed house, but a very large crowd filling the Cultural Center, and every performer was very well received.
Thank you, Kathy Bozinski, live from the Scranton Cultural Center. A Swoyersville police officer is undergoing emergency treatment.
Some dense fog out there and the temperature at 33 degrees. You know what I can mention here very, very quickly? When Keith Martin's mom was a young woman and went forth to Hollywood to start her motion picture career, she left from this very station on a train, Hollywood bound, out of the city of Scranton, and many well-wishers were there. And Keith has worked very hard on the Scranton Cultural Center project. I thought it might be nice to mention his mom, a great actress, and a singer, too. Now, tomorrow, the story, morning clouds, a little fog, some afternoon sunshine, which will probably bring the temperature up into the 50s tomorrow.
Good evening, and we'll see you tomorrow. We'll leave you now with some sounds from the cultural celebration in Scranton tonight.
WBRE TV. This is Eyewitness News at 6.
Bishop James Timlin has announced a bold initiative to help the Roman Catholic Diocese of Scranton confront and deal with highly publicized incidents of sexual misconduct by clerics. Good evening. The bishop unveiled an action plan today amid increasing national and international news coverage of incidents of clerical sexual misconduct. Kathy Bozinski is live in Scranton with more on this breaking story. Kathy?
Well, Keith, the Bishop of Scranton is saying it's time to shed new light on the problems of Catholic clergy who are charged with sexual abuse. He is joining bishops from all across the nation in developing a new policy, one which features the creation of an independent review board made up of citizens from the community.
A priest is a human being like everybody else, and he's certainly capable of doing anything that any other human being is capable of.
To deal with the very human problem of sexual abuse by Catholic priests, the Bishop of Scranton is outlining a diocesan policy. The bishop's guidelines released today include quick response, appropriate evaluation and medical treatment if warranted, and outreach to victims and their families. Another development is the naming of an 8-member review board to assist the diocese in the investigation of charges.
If a priest is a pedophile, if that's what he really is diagnosed as such, he would never be put back into parish work again, that's for sure. Now, whether he would ever be allowed to function as a priest again would depend on a lot of circumstances, and that's why we have this review board. They would be people who would be able to help me come to some kind of resolution of a problem.
The new panel, which will meet for the first time in the next few weeks, would have to deal with cases like that of Father Robert Caporale, who was charged with the alleged sexual abuse of a young altar boy at his Pike County parish. Recently, authorities say the priest was diagnosed as being HIV positive, which means he will face further charges. Bishop Timlin says such cases are few but bring extensive media coverage. He believes that Catholics should not question their faith in the Church based on the human illnesses of those who represent it.
So I would encourage them not to overreact to something like this and to put it in its proper perspective, painful as it is. It's painful for me and painful for the whole church. It really is.
And as for Father Caporelli, Bishop Timlin tells me that he will always be a priest, but should he be released from prison at some time in the future, he would not be returned to any pastoral duties. This is Kathy Bozinski with the Live Eye in downtown Scranton. Keith?
Thank you very much, Kathy Bozinski. Well, Michael Helensky will stand trial. Bishop James Timlin of Scranton announced a new diocesan policy and procedure to deal with church-wide incidents of sexual misconduct involving clerics. That story coming up. Good evening. First, within the hour, a Dixon City man has been charged with murdering a 6-month-old Old Forge child. Kathy Bozinski is live on the scene at Municipal Court in Dixon City. Kathy?
Keith, the man being charged tonight is 29-year-old Ronald Shulkowski of Dixon City. Let's take a look at some of that video shot at Dixon City Police Headquarters within the past hour. He's being charged with first and second-degree murder in the March 12th death of 6-month-old Brian Keller of Old Forge. Apparently, Shulkowski was a paid babysitter for the boy. What happened was, this according to District Attorney Michael Barrace, the child's mother apparently came to pick him up late in the afternoon at the 12th and found the child to be unconscious. She frantically called 911. The child was rushed to the Community Medical Center in Scranton. Eventually, he was taken to the Hershey Medical Center in Hershey, where he died the next day. An autopsy performed there showed that the cause of death was blunt trauma to the head, and authorities say that this can be either caused by inflicted blows to the head or perhaps the child being struck against something. At this point, they don't know the scenario. There's very limited information, but Shulkowski is being charged with first and second-degree murder in the case. He was just arraigned here by Magistrate John Pieski in Dixon City and here in Central Court, and he has been transported now to the Lackawanna County Prison because no bail will be set in a first-degree murder charge. That's the information that we have right now. This is Kathy Bozinski with the Live Eye in Dixon City. Keith?
Thank you very much, Kathy Bozinski, for a fast response on that story. Well, the Scranton Catholic Diocese today made an aggressive move to confront highly publicized and church-wide incidents of sexual misconduct by clerics.
A priest is a human being like everybody else, and he's certainly capable of doing anything that any other human being is capable of.
Bishop James Timlin announced a diocesan policy to deal with any allegations or incidents of sexual misconduct by priests or nuns. The policy includes quick response, evaluation, treatment if necessary, and outreach to victims and families if warranted. A new panel of citizens will begin meeting in a few weeks, already facing the case of Father Robert Caporelli, charged with alleged sexual abuse of an altar boy in his Pike County parish. Father Caporelli has since been diagnosed as HIV positive. Bishop Timlin believes such incidents should not prompt Catholics to question their faith in the church because of human illnesses afflicting those who represent the church. On Eyewitness News at 6, the Susquehanna River continues to rise up and down its length. We'll have live team coverage.
And the river is forcing police to close roads throughout the area. We'll show you where and what's happening.
And worried residents line up the banks of the river, keeping close eyes and vigils as the water rises. Ben Sweeney will tell us if any more rain or precipitation in any form is on the way in the AccuWeather forecast. Jim Miller shows us Florida and spring training camp.
This is Eyewitness News at 6.
And still the water rises higher and longer than first expected. But despite some problems like this in low-lying areas, Exeter Township in Wyoming County, the thaw-swollen Susquehanna River is projected to crest far below levels which would threaten any dike-protected areas. Good evening. The weather has gotten better as the water has gotten higher, creating the irony that this is a beautiful night for early spring sightseeing. The problem is the sight we are seeing is a deep, fast-moving, muddy river. Well, Dawn Timoney is live on the banks of the Susquehanna River with the latest. Dawn?
Keith, I'm at Nesbitt Park in Wilkes-Barre, which is underwater. You can just see the tops of the soccer nets behind me. The last time the water got this high was in March of 1986. Just how high will the river go this time around? We turn to Jim Syracuse to find out. He's head of the Luzerne County Emergency Management Agency. A lot of people thought the river would not get this high. Just how high will it go, Jim?
Well, we're still holding out on the 27 to 29 foot crest. The only thing that has changed since this morning, there has been some delays in Towanda cresting, so of course that's going to delay our cresting as well. But we don't see it as a problem. We're still looking at 27 to 29 after midnight, early morning hours.
And why has the crest been so hard to predict?
Three factors involved. Number one, it was the large amount of snow. That was followed up by a heavy amount of rainfall, which was absorbed by the snow and then the change in the temperatures. We were fine moderating in 30s and 40s. It went up into the 50s. All three factors have made it very difficult to call this one.
There's a lot of rumors going on this evening. Can you put them to rest?
We're getting calls from every major bridge in the county being closed to every major roadway. There are very few roadways or bridges that are closed at this time. Most of the major routes, Route 11, Route 29, Route 92, all the major bridges are open. There are no problems on that. Another myth we'd like to clear up, and we're getting calls about people concerned about if they have opened up the floodgates in dams on the Susquehanna upstate. This is a myth that has floated in the area for about 20-some years, and we'd just like to clear it up that there are no dams on the Susquehanna River. There never have been. There are some dams on some of the rivers that feed into the Susquehanna. They were built after '72, and they were built for one reason, and that was to assist with flood protection. And none of those dams have any floodgates open at this time.
Quickly, Jim, the weather it's expected to rain. Will that be a problem?
It won't be a problem. By the time we would be affected by that weather, we would be looking at least 48 hours. By that time, we hope to crest and start dropping, so we'll be able to take it.
Thank you. Jim Syracuse, head of the Luzerne County Emergency Management Agency. Now for a look at the current river levels throughout our area. Wilkes-Barre is at 26.5 feet. It's expected to crest at 27 to 29 after midnight. Towanda is at 19.5. It's been close to cresting a couple times today, but has not crested as of yet. Danville is at 19.2 feet. It's expected to crest at 21 to 22 feet early tomorrow morning. And in Sunbury, along the west bank of the Susquehanna River, it's at 23.5 feet. It's expected to crest at 24 to 24.5 feet early tomorrow morning. Now, the low-lying areas are experiencing some trouble this evening. For more on one problem spot, we turn to reporter Donna Crilly, who is in Chickashinny via satellite. Donna?
Well, Dawn, I'm standing just above a road that has been eaten up by the fast-moving Susquehanna. You've heard about dancing in the street. Well, tonight in Chickashinny on Canal Street, they're fishing in the street. That's right, some kids just came down to the riverbanks, which used to be the curb a few hours ago. The river closed North Canal Street early this morning, and police made it official shortly before noon. South Canal Street is also closed. If you look off behind our fishermen, there was a creek there, and on the other side of the creek there was another street, South Canal Street. That's also closed. Both branches of it are firmly under about 2 feet of water. Let's take a look at all of this from another angle right now. No one will be playing basketball in this park that's located directly behind Canal. The fire department's hoping it will be all cleaned up in time for a fundraiser, which is set for next month. You talked about homes, Dawn, in the low-lying areas. Well, down here in Chickashinny, a lot of people are experiencing water in their basement, and many are moving their belongings from the first to the second floor. We have a lot of neighbors helping neighbors, just trying to make sure that nothing is damaged. We also talked about roads. Okay, here, North Canal Street in Chickashinny is closed, but we have some others that we'd like to tell you about tonight. Route 11 near Shamokin Dam is closed this evening, as is Route 239 in Mackinac. State Route 3036 in the Wapwallopin-Nescopeck area, and Sweatland Lane, that's located in Wyoming. Sweatland Lane in Wyoming is also closed, and that brings us back here to Canal Street in Chickashinny. Again, as Jim Syracuse of EMA said, the major roadways in our area have not been affected, and those are the only roads that we know at this point have been closed. The only areas really affected so far are the low-lying ones not protected by dikes, and those people spent a very anxious night watching the river. But as Diana Penn is going to tell us, she really didn't find anyone who needs or wants to head to higher ground.
Take a walk through Al Bartolai's basement. You see the river makes an unwelcome stop. Like many of his neighbors in this Wyoming County community, Al's been up all night raising furniture and keeping a close eye on the river.
I'm pretty scared.
We weren't expecting it to come up this much.
In Luzerne County, Murphy's Grove picnic area in West Nanticoke is almost totally underwater. Moving possessions away from the river banks and preparing for the worst has been the order of the day. Owner Joe Murphy is trying to make the best of it.
Well, me and my brother bet that it wouldn't be 3 foot in the pavilion by today, and it is, so he owes me $50 and he has to put a half a beer on, so we're going to have a flood party.
This sight is common for folks living along the river banks. The water is creeping into their backyards. Some are subscribing to the theory if you can't beat the swift-moving waters, join them.
Hey, don't get hung up on the fence there, Norm.
Just down the road here at the Garden Drive-In in Hunlock Creek, you can see the parking lot has turned into a pool, and the owner says rising waters will probably delay the opening until the middle of April. Truckloads of sand have been pouring into the drive-in all day.
We're afraid that the sand isn't going to be able to contain the water, and we just spent a couple $1,000s remodeling our stand for the new season, the drive-in season, and we're afraid we're going to lose it all.
John Bargella has seen this kind of threat before. He salvaged what he could during the floods of 36 and 72.
When I was younger, I didn't seem to mind it too much. It's going to be a little heavier, a little tougher for me, though, but we'll survive it.
And while that's a good attitude to take, everyone wonders at what price will that survival come. Diana Penna, Eyewitness News.
Even people who don't live by the river are keeping a close eye on it. You can see people up here in Shikshini keeping a watchful eye. People have been walking down to the river for the past several days, and I would imagine the scene is the same where Brian Francis is in West Pittston. Brian?
Well, Donna, we're here along the River Common in West Pittston, where the River Watch tonight has taken on something of a social event atmosphere. There's literally hundreds of people walking up and down the River Common at this point. They're coming down here with their families, bringing their kids, bringing their video cameras, all to get a look at the Susquehanna River here just a few feet behind me. They're all coming down here. They're also piling onto Susquehanna River in their cars. This river and this road here usually aren't traveled very much, but tonight a lot of folks are coming down this road. There's a big traffic jam here. This is the best place to get a look at the river. But tonight a lot of folks are down here along the commons. Some of them are curious, but some others are just a little bit worried about what's going on. Andy Mahalchik was here today and he talked to some of those people.
Tim O'Leary, his wife and 3 children come to the banks of the Susquehanna River early this morning. They want to see for themselves the rising water. The kids have never seen a flood. Tim has and will never forget it.
I was here in 72. And the water, it just kept coming up slowly and slowly and slowly.
For his 10-year-old daughter, Patricia, the Susquehanna River is pure amazement.
No, I'm pretty excited because, I've never been in a flood before, and since there's all that rising water, I think I can go swimming and stuff.
But the mood here and the people are very serious. They watch and wonder. Despite assurances all day today from emergency management officials that the Susquehanna will not go over the dike, many people come here to see for themselves just how fast the water is rising. Many tell me they heard the same type of assurances back in 1972 with Tropical Storm and Hurricane Agnes.
I went through it in 72, came down, looked at the dike about 1 o'clock in the morning. No one warned us at the time that there was going to be a flood or there might even be one. And so came back 6 o'clock the next morning, police department came down our street with sirens and told us to leave immediately.
It's rising similar to like Hurricane Agnes waters, which I remember, and I was down here at that time. And also, it's rising quicker than Hurricane Gloria's waters. And
the fast-moving and rising waters even startled those who live in the water. It would seem that everyone and everything is waiting and watching. Andy Mahalchik, Eyewitness News, along the banks of the Susquehanna in Luzerne County.
We're back live once again along the banks of the Susquehanna in West Pittston, and we are standing here. We're in an area where this is usually a little road to get down near the Susquehanna River, a boat launch, if you will. And since we've been here about 4 o'clock this afternoon, the water has come up there about 4 or 5 feet. Just a quick indication of how quickly the water is rising here in West Pittston. I'm Brian Francis, Eyewitness News with a live eye along the banks of the Susquehanna River. Back to you, Keith.
Thank you very much, Brian. That's what you call Mother Nature's barn cleaner operating right there. The Susquehanna River running near bank full.
This is Eyewitness News Nightcast.
Tonight, the Susquehanna River continues to rise, and there are reports of increasing flooding in low-lying areas as the swollen river prevents water from creeks and streams from flowing into the river. Good evening. Forecasts for when and how high the river will crest have been updated within just the last few minutes. Now, Donna Crilly is live on the riverbank with the latest information.
Keith, right now the river is at 26.75 feet, but the River Forecasting Center has revised its crest predictions upwards. Now it says the river will crest at 28 to 30 feet sometime tomorrow afternoon. At a news conference just a few moments ago, though, the Emergency Management Director for Luzerne County told me that low-lying areas should be prepared for something worse.
However, due to the uncertainty of the snowpack in the watershed area, the Luzerne County Emergency Management Agency is issuing an advisory to both communities and citizens to take protective action, to include actions required under the 30 to 32 foot level. We should point out that the flood control system that protects the Wyoming Valley reaches levels of 37 to 39 feet. So again, we're not talking about a major concern about the majority of Wyoming Valley.
And even in the areas affected, it means very little action on the public's part. And this also is only an advisory. It is not a state of emergency. What it means is that community emergency management task forces will probably be out throughout most of the night, whether sandbagging is part of their routine or whether they have to put log tiers made up of railroad ties in channels of the river. So again, no evacuation is planned, and this is not an emergency situation. It is an advisory. The low-lying areas are the ones affected, mostly the areas that are not protected by the dike system, areas such as parts of Edwardsville, the Hollenbeck Park section of Wilkes-Barre, parts of Duryea, and Chickasha. And we were in Chickasha earlier, and we found people preparing day and night. As Pat Hook moves everything in his basement to higher ground, a relative calls to offer shelter.
No, that'll only be me if I come. Okay, Gene, thanks very much.
He's 90 now, and Hook's seen them all, including the flood of 1936. He was 33 years old during that flood.
I've been through them, and I don't know what it's going to be till it's over with. You can't tell. It makes you nervous and worried.
That's because this is outside his Canal Street home in Chickasha. Susquehanna swallowed the park next door and most of the street.
Canal Street, North Canal has a low spot here at the carnival grounds, and we've got maybe 2 feet of water in here.
Where cars drove yesterday, kids such as Doug Beach fished today. Did you catch anything yet?
Just one fish. Got it halfway out of the water.
What was it?
I don't know.
While some wade and have fun, others watch and worry. The Mizakowskis used to live on Canal Street.
Down the other end of the Canal Street, where the playground is, we lived right there. Every time the water came up, we were flooded. No fun.
So you've lived through numerous floods. Why did you come here tonight?
Just to see how far it's coming up and feel sorry for the rest of them. You know, they have to put up with it.
And every flood reminds them of 1972.
Yeah, it brings back a lot of memories. And just hope and pray it doesn't come to that again.
And lots of people share that same sentiment tonight. River watching has turned into somewhat of a hobby around this area. We are at Nesbitt Park in Wilkes-Barre tonight, and you can see how many people are still out 11 o'clock, and they want to see how high the river is and how far it's going to continue to rise. And that is the case not just here in northeastern Pennsylvania, but also in north central Pennsylvania, and Rick Mason has their story. And now we're back live in Wilkes-Barre. Once again, new information from the River Forecasting Center as well as Luzerne County Emergency Management. The river is now expected to crest at 28 to 30 feet sometime tomorrow afternoon. In a news conference just a little while ago, Emergency Management said that people should take precautions for it cresting from 30 to 32 feet. That is just a precaution. They said they want to err on the side of safety. This will not mean any evacuations, and it will not really mean any action on the part of the public. This is for communities to take action. And right now the river is at 26.75 feet. We're going to go to the station now and find out from Mr. Vince Sweeney what we can expect to happen next in the weather. Vince?
Donna, I think at this point in time we can safely say for out there. Let's have a live shot now for you, a live look, I should say, at the Susquehanna River in Wilkes-Barre, and I guess in darkness, even with lights on it. The river itself, you really can't get an idea of what it's like until you see it during the daytime. It can be a little frightening. Mostly clear in 48 in Wilkes-Barre now. At Avoca, the temperature is 46.
We began the newscast with newly released information on when and how high the Susquehanna River will crest. We go back now to Donna Crilly live at the river with news of a major new development. Donna?
That's right, Keith, and this development affects Wyoming County. There is an evacuation alert tonight. Commissioners in Wyoming County are asking people who live along the Susquehanna River to evacuate their homes for the evening. We're going to put some phone numbers up on the screen for you right now. Those numbers are 836-3200 and 836-2828. If you have any problems or you need assistance with the evacuation, you're asked to call that number. It's going to get you right through to EMA. The reason for this, according to the commissioners, is that minor flooding was predicted for that Wyoming County area, and it's turned into major flooding. The main area of concern is Mashopin. Now, the only official area open for people who are evacuated is the Mashopin Fire Social Hall. That, again, is the main area of concern. I'm going to read those numbers off for you one more time. That's 836-3200 and 836-2828. Once again, officials in Wyoming County are calling for an evacuation of the area along the Susquehanna River. If they had thought it would just be minor flooding, but it is turning out to be much more serious. I'm Donna Crilly reporting with the Live Eye from the Susquehanna River. Keith?
Thank you very much, Donna. Again, to repeat what Jim Syracuse, director of the Luzerne County EMA, said, the revised forecast is for a 28 to 30-foot crest for the Susquehanna River sometime early tomorrow afternoon. He's advising people in low-lying areas, areas not protected by the dikes, to prepare for a situation where the river might go to 30 to 32 feet. That was an advisory. There is no state of emergency. We'll continue to follow the story of the river as it unfolds. For all of us on the team, good night. Oh, let's check back in with, I'm sorry, I thought we were done. Sorry, my friend.
That's all right, Keith. I get to say
counting me down to the end of the show here. Yeah, all right, go right ahead.
Tomorrow morning's wake up weather. I guess we could all use a little laugh right about now. Sunny and some fog, and maybe the lovely weather will take our minds off water woes. For those who are having trouble tonight, our thoughts and prayers are with you. Now, if you'd like, get us out of here, sir.
I'll have to. I already said everything I was going to say, so that's what we have at this point. Again, we'll continue to follow the story of the river as it unfolds. For all of us on the team, now, good night.
Happy Easter! School bus tragedies on the next Midday Live.
Now, live from your hometown station, WBRE TV, this is Eyewitness News at 6.
The Susquehanna River and other rain-swollen streams are over their banks today. This is the scene in West Pittston, where the river is covering Susquehanna Avenue and turning people's front yards into lakes. In West Nanticoke, the intersection of routes 11 and 29 is closed due to flooding. And just down the street, residents are sandbagging along East Poplar Street as high waters from Toby's Creek back into the storm drains. A flooded Toby's Creek in Edwardsville is also causing problems, prompting sandbagging at the Mark Plaza. Good evening, everyone. I'm Dawn Timoney. Many residents are preparing for the worst tonight. A state of emergency has been declared in a flood-ravaged Wyoming County. And in Luzerne County, as many as 10,000 homes could be affected if the river crests at 30 feet as expected tomorrow. We have live team coverage from across northeastern and central Pennsylvania. We begin with reporter Donna Crilly, who has the very latest on river levels. Donna?
Well, Don, good evening. It's day 4 of the river watch, and it's still on the rise. Barely had a chance to go down after it crested last evening at 28 feet. And we're going to check right now with Jim Syracuse of Luzerne County.
Been on pins and needles. Of course, they're not alone. We go live now to Kathy Bozinski in Luzerne County with reaction from the folks there.
Well, Diana, downstream here in the Plainsville section of Plains Township, people can definitely sympathize. You see behind me, 6 homes have had to be evacuated at this point. There is no formal evacuation, but we see 2 of the homes right now, and they are isolated, surrounded by floodwaters. And at this point, several more homes are being threatened by the rising waters. The skies cleared this afternoon, making it a nice afternoon for a boat trip down O'Neill Street in the Plainsville section of Plains Township. At the intersection of O'Neill and McCullough, floodwaters lapped at the home which Kathy Thomas and her family moved into just 1 month ago.
Well, our cellar is completely gone. We have about 2 more steps before the first floor. My 5 children were evacuated by the Red Cross. They were up in a hotel. And my husband and I are staying here until it gets too unbearable, and then we're leaving.
A peek down the cellar reveals a muddy pool just a step or 2 away from the first floor. Through the kitchen window, an ocean view. From the back porch, you can call to neighbors who are now completely cut off by floodwaters.
How are you going to get out?
Straight till I hit high ground.
Andy Staransky has lived next door for more than 40 years and through several floods. He's debating the accuracy of river watchers who say the river hasn't topped 30 feet.
We get about 29 feet up to that pole, and past the mailbox is over 30 feet. And then 1936 it was like up to that block up there, and 72 was up on the highway. So I imagine this is going to, there's something wrong, and we can't understand. They keep on telling us it's going to go only to 30 feet. It's impossible. I think it's over 30 feet now.
As you can see, the primary mode of transportation here in Plainsville at this moment is rowboat, at that one hitched near a home very nearby. As to concerns about the accuracy of river level reporting, Emergency Management Agency Director Jim Syracuse said this afternoon that they are accurate, and he invited actually members of the media to come out on the bridge to take part in the testing and view the testing to show that the river levels are accurate right now. One important note, just within the hour, Plains Township Police have closed off a stretch of river road near Plainsville, not because of a threat of flooding, but because of the steady stream of onlookers and curiosity seekers who are passing by. The traffic was just unbearable. That has now been closed to all but local traffic and traffic for emergency crews. That's how it is in Plainsville right now. This is Kathy Bozinski with the Live Eye. Let's go back to Dawn Timoney in the studio. Dawn?
Thank you, Kathy. Meantime, downriver in the Danville area.
Station WBRE TV. This is Eyewitness News Nightcast.
Forget about driving here. Boat is the only way to get down O'Neill Street and a couple of others in the Luzerne County community of Plainsville. Vehicles are submerged in the deep waters, and the tops of swing sets where children normally play are barely peeping from the flooded streets. Good evening, everyone. I'm Dawn Timoney in for Keith Martin. The flooding is forcing some residents to leave their homes, causing some businesses to shut down, and is even prompting the Bloomsburg Area School District to cancel classes tomorrow. How high will the river go and when will it crest? We turn to reporter Kathy Bozinski, who is live along the river in Nesbitt Park, for an answer. Kathy?
Well, Don, as you can see, the river behind me, the floodwaters continue to rage, and a new element, it is raining out here, and that is not very good news. Within the past 20 minutes, I spoke with Jim Syracuse, director of Luzerne County Emergency Management Agency. He says that two lines of storms are dumping about a quarter inch to a third of an inch of rain each as they pass through the area. Now, that is not going to have that much of an impact on the river, but it will affect streams which are already near bankful, and they will be keeping a watch on streams throughout the area tonight. As for the river itself, I said there won't be that much of an impact. Let's take a closer look at the waters as they continue to rage, looking very high over the bridge, and let's go to the current statistics. Right now in the Wilkes-Barre area, the river stands at 29.12 feet and is slowly rising. Upriver at Towanda, we're currently at 21.44 feet and gradually rising. The river is expected to crest tomorrow afternoon. There's no determined time, but it should be early afternoon tomorrow at about 30 feet. Well, this information is all well and good, but it doesn't mean very much tonight to the people who live in Plainsville and Luzerne County. While some people there have given up the fight against the raging flood waters, others still are continuing to struggle. It's twilight, and an eerie silence envelops O'Neill Street in Plainsville. It's broken only by the occasional splash of an oar from a rowboat, as the curious travel streets now covered with more than 5 feet of river water. The people who live in these houses have long since moved to higher ground. At the corner of O'Neill and McCullough Streets, Greg Thomas spends the evening watching the water creep closer and closer to his first floor. He's puzzled by current river level readings.
Yesterday it was 28 feet at the crest. Half hour, 45 minutes ago, it says 28.66. Not a half a foot could do this much damage because it was nowhere near. It was 50, 60 yards away from my house yesterday when it crested. I can't see how it could do this kind of damage.
Just across McCullough Street, the water works its way toward another home. Neighbors help as Plains Township crews deliver sandbags, the last attempt at keeping the basement dry at Tim Wostowski's house.
It's coming in slow. I just called up for more sandbags. And I mean, we didn't yank the motor out of the furnace yet. And we need the furnace for hot water and heat right now.
Residents of this Plainsville neighborhood say they will stay with their homes as long as they possibly can. Now, there are some communities in our area that are dealing with more than just flooding tonight. Within the past hour or so, it's been reported that the town of Mackinac and the lower portions of Shikshini have suffered a complete power outage. This on top of floodwaters which continue to rise in those riverfront communities. Now in Wyoming County, things are so severe that a state of disaster emergency has been declared. A dusk to dawn curfew is in effect, and trespassers along riverfront properties will be arrested. Reporter Diana Penna spent all day today in Wyoming County, and she tells us a story of struggle and of a community pulling together.
Right up, and the dream of living tomorrow. I'm Diana Penna, Eyewitness News, Wyoming County.
And once again, the rain continues to fall over our area. That will impact small streams already running near the tops of their banks the most. The river will not be impacted as much by the rain, but the waters continue to rise. The crest expected to come sometime tomorrow afternoon at around 30 feet. I'll be back later in this newscast with the very latest river level information. This is Kathy Bozinski with the Live Eye along the banks of the Susquehanna at Wilkes-Barre. Dawn?
Thank you, Kathy. It's difficult to tell where the Susquehanna
is 42 degrees at this hour. You can see the river for yourself here, folks. And more rain coming on in. I think the rain we are seeing now is mainly going to affect small streams and creeks, which forecast for you as we look at the river one more time. Whew, that certainly is impressive, isn't it? Tonight, rain and a thunderstorm possible in spots. The temperature overnight, 39 degrees. Keep in mind, Susquehanna River, flood warnings up and down the length and breadth of the mighty river and the small streams and creeks we have.
The story of the night is a rising Susquehanna River. For the very latest, we go live once again to reporter Kathy Bozinski, who is along the river in Nesbitt Park. Kathy?
Well, Dawn, it continues to rain out here, and as you said, the Susquehanna continues to rise. I was on the phone just a few moments ago with the Luzerne County Emergency Management Agency. Let me back out of the way to give you the very latest river information. Currently at Wilkes-Barre, the river has risen in the past hour. We are now at 29.18 feet and rising from 29.12. At Towanda, 21.46, up from 0.44 feet and rising. Once again, the river is expected to crest at around 30 feet sometime tomorrow afternoon. Eyewitness News will be watching you the situation and give you information throughout tonight if it is warranted. This is Kathy Bozinski with the Live Eye at Nesbitt Park. Dawn?
Thank you, Kathy. And time now for a look at wake-up weather tomorrow.
Eyewitness News Midday.
The swollen Susquehanna continues to rise as anxious residents along is Plainsville in Luzerne County. And that's where Andy Mahalchik is with an unusual vantage point. Andy?
Donna, we have been reporting live from the banks of the Susquehanna River all week long. The entire Eyewitness News team has been providing some rather unique perspectives on the flooding situation. Well, this midday report, we decided to do our story from on top of the Susquehanna River in a rowboat, or I should say at least on the waters that overflowed from the Susquehanna. We are in Plainsville in Luzerne County. My photographer, Mark Albrecht, is at the end of the boat. We can show you what's happening here. The water, if I steer the boat to the left here, the water is surrounding most of these homes here. In fact, the main mode of transportation here is indeed a rowboat. Now, these waters began to rise several days ago here, slowly inching its way up. And look over that way, there's a trailer that is completely surrounded. That man just built that trailer less than a year ago. Again, the Susquehanna continues to rise, and the fears continue to increase. With me on the boat here in Plainsville, which I guess would be considered one of the main streets here, is Ed Zuba. Ed, you moved out of here some time ago. Why did you move?
Well, I was caught here in the Agnes flood of '72. My house used to be right next to these two white ones. And the government bought me out in '72, so I decided to leave. I said I didn't want to be caught in this water no more. I've been down here for 14 years prior to that. And I'm glad I'm out of here.
What do you think when you see this water here?
Well, this is bad. It makes your stomach get sick being caught in this all the time, see? So, and I feel so sorry for these people being caught down here all the time.
Okay, Zuba, thank you very much. Let's check out the Susquehanna River levels from the rowboat here. These are the current numbers from the river watchers. In Wilkes-Barre, the level is 29.60 and rising. In Towanda, 21.96 and rising. The Wilkes-Barre level is expected to crest sometime this evening at around 30 feet, which we are very close to, and Towanda cresting at 22 feet. Now, as we talked about, this is not the only place that boats are being used in northeastern and central Pennsylvania. They are also being used in another part of Luzerne County, Edwardsville. Let's show you those pictures taken just a short time ago this morning at the Mark Plaza. The waters of the Toby Creek surrounding Mark Plaza. Now, that area is not protected by dikes, so this will happen when flooding occurs of streams. Toby's Creek, many of the stores are closed, but like Kmart, that store is open. The problem is they are shuttling employees by boat into the stores, but they cannot take customers. We're told because of insurance liabilities, they do not have insurance to cover people in case they would fall out of that boat. We did catch up with several people who were walking through or trudging or trying to drive through with four-wheel drive vehicles. Again, some stores are closed, but if you go to Kmart, you will have to find your own way across that mini river. Now, of course, we did ask the question, the rain is falling. Will it have an impact on these streams and creeks? We posed that to Jim Syracuse of Luzerne County EMA.
We were fortunate that we were able to get two messages out to the communities to begin closely monitoring the streams. We had some updated information. They watched the streams. It did have some impact on the streams, but fortunately not as much as it could have. None of the streams left their banks. Those that are over their banks, they added a little bit more water, overflowed a little more, but no major increases.
Alrighty, so right now, again, the impact of the rain being minimized by Luzerne County EMA officials, but that does not minimize the fears of people who live in places like Plainsville and people who are using rowboats like this one. Again, this would normally be one of the streets here in Plainsville in Luzerne County, and a good rower I am not. But again, a lot of people are dealing with floodwaters like this throughout northeastern and central Pennsylvania. Of course, Donna will have live reports throughout the day on top of the Susquehanna or on the banks here on Eyewitness News. Back to you.
And I'm Mark Hiller with an update.